Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey.
Go
And we
ahead.
are the Mark Out Movie Podcasters. And
And
I'll let you
on
go.
today's episode, we are going to be discussing Brandon's pick after he endured a long, hard Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then on top of that, we had last week I did Hell House LLC. Um, but then this week we're doing Big Bully 1996 film starring Rick Moranis and Tom Arnold. This is back when Tom Arnold was still showing up in movies. And Rick Moranis was still showing up in movies, but Rick Moranis, I will say this, can still show up in movies if he chooses to.
Yeah.
I don't think the same case can be said for Tom Arnold.
I don't. It's not that he's bad. It's just he's odd. He's just an oddball. Like, the only thing I think I've been able to really relate to him in anything is either when he was on Roseanne or in True Lies. Everything else is just, it's an epic miss. And it's not that he's horrible. It's just, I don't know. It's just, he's just odd.
Yeah.
I've always liked him, but it's just in movies. I think I would prefer a stand-up than movie roles. But
He's still doing stuff. That's crazy. People still got Tom Arnold and stuff. Okay. Jeez.
I
Good
think he
luck.
took a big hit though, didn't he? When him and Roseanne divorced.
Yeah, I think that's after True Lies. I remember. So the moment where I just kind of like rolled my eyes at Tom Arnold and Roseanne was when they both do a cameo in Freddy's Dead,
Yeah.
which in itself was a terrible movie. Let's be real. Um, I would say the Nightmare on Elm Street series franchise has had just about as many duds as the Halloween franchise. Um, but I can only say I can say Friday the 13th hasn't had as many duds. Although I think Friday the 13th has had some of
Yeah.
the same type of repetitiveness.
Oh yeah, I mean it's repetitive, no doubt. You know, I think after 6, people kind of lost interest. I like 7. I think 8's fun. It's not good, but I think it's fun. And I think 9 and Jason Goes to Hell is just the worst of the bunch. But I would say there's probably 3 or 4 bad ones on Friday the 13th. So I mean, I think they all have their duds. I mean,
But we are going to be discussing Big Bully. But first, I hadn't really watched anything, but we'll still do what we watched. This, which is for those that are listening or tuning in for the first time to our podcast. That's a segment in which we discuss movies or same thing, films or TV shows that we've watched within the week. And starting with myself, I, I don't think I've really watched anything. Honestly, this week I hadn't really watched anything. I finished Midnight Club, which was on Netflix, and which I liked. So it's not Mike Garrison. I'm sorry, um,
Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan. Yeah, it's his, which is had some of the same actors and actresses they use a lot, but it just I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm not familiar with the series, but I felt like it had some moments of terror or horror, but I just felt like it just was mediocre compared to like something like Fear Street, which I wouldn't think I'd say this, but I felt Fear Street was overall better series of like trilogy. Actually, I enjoyed that overall. It was better. If you want to talk about like young teenage type of horror, it was better. I thought Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was better. So I thought that Midnight Club, which is bad, 'cause I like Flanagan, but it felt like it fell short, just in my opinion.
I think that's the census of him with these Netflix shows he's doing. Hill House knocked it out of the park, but ever since then, it's not lived up to that. From what I hear online, I haven't seen his other two shows, but that's just what I hear. It's not lived up to Hill House, what he accomplished with that series. But like you, I haven't read the books, or I'm not familiar with anything of Midnight Club. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what's called.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I heard it was like Fear Street, like young adult fiction, but I haven't read any of it. So
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much all I've watched. I did go back and watch. I did go back during the Halloween time frame. I went back to watch Last Night's Toho, which is it's still an excellent movie. I wanted to go back and Barbarians on HBO Max. I want to watch that again. Those are the type of horror that I like. Like, for instance, and I agree with you when it comes to like your thought that James Wan is like the new it guy when it comes to horror. And I mention that because even though it's been a couple of years removed, I still want to go back and watch Malignant again, because it's just such a man. I would say that he's the king of horror right now, James Wan. Even though because Mike Flanagan, he's good, but he's probably the equivalent of I would say, I was gonna say Toby Hooper, which is Toby only had like a few films that was like to me really good. Same with Mike Flanagan. I think his films in itself were great, but his TV stuff not so much. So I don't want to compare him to that. Maybe I wouldn't say a Wes Craven either, because Wes is top tier with Carpenter. They're top tier, and I want to say he's a Cunningham, because Cunningham is bottom tier. So he's like maybe like Mick Garrison or something like right in the middle.
Yeah, don't insult him by comparing him to Cunningham.
Yeah,
that's coming from a Friday the 13th fan.
Well, my point is James Wan is what up there. So his stuff, I always want to go back and revisit.
Yeah, I would put Flanagan maybe third guy in horror today. I don't know who I would put second, but I don't know. Maybe second. There's some good ones. I just can't think of their names, but yeah.
Real quick, I can tell you what I have watched. So real quick, because I haven't really watched movies, but I am still watching Atlanta, which is on season 4. It's the last season of Atlanta. So far, that the season has been great. The episode before the one that just aired was excellent. It was called the Goof Who Sat by the Door, and it's their version of what happened with a Goofy movie, and how Goofy movie is the blackest movie ever made, and it's really interesting, and it's such a great episode. But yeah, of Atlanta, and then I'm still watching Chucky. It's on season 2. It's interesting. I'll say this about the Child's Play franchise. I mean, when I say that, I mean the Don Mancini franchise, which is the franchise. The other one isn't. But I would say that it has stuck to its guns as far as continuity, and somehow made it work, even though it went off in the rails with Seed of Chucky, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But God bless the man for keeping continuity going and all his stuff.
Yeah.
And I give him that, man. And so far, and I love the show. I think that it's just Chucky is top tier when it comes to the horror villains.
Oh yeah.
I think he needs to be up there, and I think that it's a disservice if you put him anywhere lower than that. He's up there with Ghostface. And I put Ghostface up there. He's up there with Ghostface, Michael, and Freddy and Jason. Those are top tier, in my opinion. That is top tier. Everybody else is beneath them.
Yeah, I would put Chucky, for me anyway. Chucky's probably my second favorite, so he's number 2 for me. Like Jason's number 1, and Chucky's 2. And I would put Michael 3, and I don't know who between Freddy and Ghostface for 4, but I'm just not a big Freddy fan. So he deserves, like, they are the top 3 when it comes, what they did for horror back in the 80s. But I don't know. But I did hear what they did with Chucky season 2, killing off a certain character, and it's like, why? Why would you do that? Why? But I will eventually watch it. It's just I hate that they killed that guy off.
Yeah. No spoilers, but that's what he does. No. But anyway, what did you watch, Brandon, before we get to our actual review?
Since the last time we've been here, I would say, okay, I watched Black Adam, which I thought was a lot of fun. I thought they went back to basics with it. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it is a fun movie. I thought The Rock did really good playing the character. I love Aldous Hodge in it and Pierce Brosnan in it, but I thought DC needed to go back to basics and start over, and I felt that's what Black Adam was doing. So I really enjoyed that. Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan
sorry,
in it, but yeah. I thought
there we go. You're good. I'm trying to see where I can see comments. We're getting comments. So Tom Lovin's watching. Andy Harden says, "What's up, Andy? I saw that you said that you were sick. You got the bug. We're praying for you. We pray for you and your family that you all pull through." Tom Lovin says, "Let's talk Top Gun Maverick." Hey, bro, come on, Tom. I know that you are such a fan of Top Gun Maverick. Well, hey, and rightfully so, because it's an awesome film.
It is.
I bet you've seen it the most. You've probably seen it as many times as Brandon has seen Elvis. And Pete Maverick Mitchell is on my top tier. He says, who's that, Brandon? Is that from Top Gun still?
What now?
Pete Maverick Mitchell?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I know you've seen it, Tom, and we give you props. It's going to be in my top. At the end of the year, we do a list of our top 20, maybe. That's the thing we do typically. It's going to be within my top 10. I'm not going to tell you where. I can tell you what's going to be on my worst list. I can go ahead and tell you. Halloween Ends will be on my worst list.
Come on.
It makes the worst for me. It is what it is. And that saddens me. That saddens me.
So much has changed in a year. As far as
no, you haven't beat him. So Brandon, you beat him. Wait a minute, maybe not. He says he's seen Top Gun Maverick 5 times in theaters, 15 times on digital.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't seen Elvis that many times. I saw it 7 times in theaters, and I've seen it once on Blu-ray.
Okay. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just see, what else did I see? Well, I did recently watch a movie called Emergency, which I recommended to you, which I don't even know how to explain what that movie is about. It starts off like a comedy about these 2 black guys. One's getting ready to graduate. Well, they're both getting ready to graduate. One's going to medical school, though. And they end up finding this white girl in their house, passed out and everything. And one guy's like, "We can't call the cops. We black." She's unconscious.
Enough said. I want to see it. I will watch it. Enough said. I will watch it. It has piqued my interest. Anything dealing with black guys finding white women. I'm just playing. It's funny. But what else you watch?
I watched a Christian movie called Paul's Promise. I thought that was decent. He struggles with depression, alcoholism. His mom's dying of cancer. So her only wish for him, her dying wish, is for him to get into church, give his heart to God. And so I like the message. It was cheap, but as far as production goes, I really like the message. I think that's all I've seen, though.
Okay.
I haven't went to theaters this week, so.
Yeah, that's pretty much all. So we're going to get into our actual film review, which is on Big Bully. let's go to IMDb if it still has it up for me. Big Bully. So Big Bully is a 1996 film starring Rick Moranis as David Leary, Tom Arnold as Roscoe Bigger, aka Fang, and Julian Phillips as Victoria, and there's Carol Kane in it as Faith, Jeffrey Tambor as Art, and then Curtis Booger Armstrong as Clark. And there's other people in this movie. Also, Don Knotts. We gotta mention him.
You got to mention
Uh,
Don.
and I didn't realize, I forgot that Don Knotts was even in this film. Um, the movie is about a writer returns to his hometown where he faces his childhood nemesis, whose life is he ultimately ruined. Only the bully wants to relive their painful past by torturing him once again. Yeah, that's a good synopsis. Brandon, you got the numbers on this one?
Oh, I do. It got a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Although it does have a 4.2 out of 5 on Vudu. 65% liked it on Google, but here's where it gets really bad. Rotten Tomato score is 0% with an audience score of 20%. So it's certified rotten, I would say.
Well, there you go. And so here we go. Let's get into Big Bully. All right. So first of all, when Brandon said, "Hey, we're gonna watch Big Bully," I literally forgot that this movie even existed. Uh, and I was thinking, you know what I was thinking about?
What was you thinking about?
The Ant Bully.
Wow.
That's my first thought. Oh, let's cut my voice. Anyway, yeah. So I was thinking about Ant Bully. But yeah, I was so wrong. But not because I love Rick Moranis. He's like top tier on my list as far as like comedic actors, especially that dad role. He's really good. Especially, I loved him in. Of course, I loved him in. Of course, I loved him in. What is that movie? Look who, not look who's talking. I'm sorry.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, I got distracted because of his voices. But yeah, so I loved him in that. But this movie, Spaceballs, yeah, it's with my other dude, John Candy, my overall dude, John Candy. And so yeah, I loved it. I loved him. He's a comedic Canadian actor, Canadian comedian, but he's beloved. Of course, Ghostbusters. You know, he's beloved, and I know I would mention this. So was it last year or a year before that? He was assaulted in the street by some butthole.
Yeah.
Who just randomly hit him. No one deserves to be hurt. I think that no one deserves anybody to put their hands on him. I'm a bit of even though I watch violent movies, my wife asks me this all the time. She says, "How come you watch horror movies and things like that, or violent action movies?" And I can watch that stuff, but I don't in real because it's not real. It's fictitious. These people are acting. They leave. They come to their families or whatever else. Same with pro wrestling. But I don't like to see people really get hurt, really get beat up or accosted. And so he doesn't deserve no one deserves for anyone to invade their personal space and assault them on any reason whatsoever. Now, it's okay if you are being assaulted and you got to fight back or defend yourself, then that's fine. But just to randomly hit someone and beat someone up and to do stuff, that's absolutely wrong, man. And Rick Moranis, you know, the man gave up his career to take care of his wife and then raise his children after his wife died. So, you know, I have a big heart for Rick Moranis, and so, you know, it was. I'm glad you chose this movie because I was really good. It felt real good to see Rick Moranis.
Yeah, that's why I chose it. I couldn't remember if I actually liked it back in '96. I don't think I.
Hey,
I
Bill.
thought maybe it was okay. How you doing, The Hobbit? But I just wanted to. I wanted to do something lighthearted, and I saw that movie was on there, so I was like,
Matthew Carter's watching. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for watching.
Bilfer said, "New York City is a fallen city. Crime is out of control."
I agree. So it sounds like you are about to become Batman, though, Bilfer. So yeah, if I hear somebody that dark hobbit is running around
Oh,
New York like stopping crime via
wow!
a ring, throwing a ring at people, I don't know.
Throwing a ring
Yeah.
at people.
Like the Hobbit, the Ring, Lord of the Rings. I don't know.
Yeah, went from
Yeah.
Batman to Lord of the Rings lore.
Hey, it'd be dope. That'd be dope. That'd be the greatest outfit. But no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so I saw it was on Prime, and I was like, this movie's probably not going to be great, but it'd be really good to see Rick Moranis again. It's been a while, so that's why I picked it. I just wanted to watch him, and the movie went the way I thought it would, but I loved seeing him in it. So and I thought there was a tender moment between him and his son when it's like the wife left, and he kind of blames him for his mom leaving, and I like that dynamic of him playing dad that's kind of lost everything. But he's got a book. He's got a writing career that no one goes to see, and no one wants his autograph. They want Stephen King books. It's still relevant today, man. We're talking about people the love for Stephen King is still relevant today. Man, that's cool. I mean, it's really cool.
The funny thing about that is the fictitious book that he pitches sounds like a really good book. It sounds like a really good book. Like it's like Pet Cemetery but different. So he said that he pitched the story to a guy, and we go back to when they were kids, but he pitched the story to a guy that seemed like he's like a serial killer. He told him, "Yeah, man. So the story about a serial killer who kills victims and buries them in his yard, but his yard is his house is on an ancient Indian burial ground, and so the victims come back to life, and then they try to come at the killer." I'm like, that sounds like a really good book. I would read it. It sounds like a really great idea. But and then I'm surprised Stephen King went like, I could do that. But
that's my sequel to Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, that's my sequel. Steven is falling off so bad. But anyway,
he's still relevant though.
He's still relevant though. You can't knock the guy. He is still people still buying his stuff, and he's still putting out like dollar babies, and so people are directing or buying rights to his stuff every single day. Because Stephen King's name equals money, period. But yeah, so what do you think about young Rick Moranis, or young Davy rather, and the bully and like that aspect growing up, and also I want to ask you because I know that your personal story, you've dealt with bullies in your life.
I dealt with one in particular that was the size of his bully. Well, I wasn't the size of Rick Moranis' child, but I was smaller than this other guy, and this other guy actually committed a crime. Like he was picking on me one day, and he was stuffing my ears, saying how much he was going to whoop me and everything. And later on, he committed murder. It freaked me out that this guy was doing this to me, and later on went and killed somebody. I was like, it stuck with me for a very long time. But I thought it brought back memories, but at the same time it was kind of cringeworthy because I didn't think the bully was a very good child actor, but
no, I've seen better child bullies. The best, one of my favorite. All right, so if I'm ranking bullies, Buzz from Buzz from Home Alone, who's the older brother, who's sort of a bully. Then you have that kid, that actor himself. Played in movies where he's like the bully kid.
Yeah.
I think he was the bully in Little Monsters. I want to say it's the same kid. I might be wrong. It might not be the same kid, but it's little that stereotype bully, the heavyset little
Yeah.
kid. The kid from the movie that we watched last year about the Christmas, like the kid won the Nintendo.
Yeah.
That bully kid, that kid, he was a great bully. Kind of like looks older.
Mm-hmm.
If it was my bully, that'd terrify me, honestly. Uh,
Christmas Story bully.
yeah, Christmas Story bully. Oh, he's like the bully.
Yeah.
You know, my God, his eyes were green or whatever. His teeth were whatever green. I don't know. The kid, he's get on my nerves. I would have whooped his butt too. Anyway, but I personally had bullies growing up. Got bullied, especially in high school. I suffered a bully every single day, like in gym class. Just would try to pick on me and bully me. And one day I took a plate and threw it at his face. Although I missed, um, but my point got across. And so ergo I was no longer bullied. But I don't suggest you do that. Yeah, just how it went for me. And then there's another guy that bullied me, and his football player, and I kind of slapped him in the back of the head, which was dangerous because it could kill me. I'm glad that he did not kill me because he had a scholarship and all, to play football. But because of that incident, I ended up meeting one of my best friends, Joey Smith, um, aka Randall Shane, Southern Kentucky superstar, and uh, began the journey of pro wrestling
Yeah.
friendship, movie friendship, and so good things came out of that incident. Let's see. Bilford says bully in It Chapter One that carved into the that guy. Oh, he's a
Henry, right?
sociopath. Yeah, and then Kid. I don't know that one. Um, but yeah, there's been some good bullies in film history. Do you consider the kid from Toy Story a bully? Sid. Sid was a bully, right?
I mean, yeah, he bullied the toys. But I would say the best one for me is Biff Tannen. I don't think you top him at all. But he's like a beloved bully. It's weird. It's weird like that. But yeah, I mean, but as far as this movie goes, it was cringeworthy, but it did bring back some memories of this. This guy just wouldn't leave me alone, and everyone goes through it though. It's a deeper issue with them. Something's going on at home, which is the case for mine. Something very deep and dark was going on. I think
Like
that's why
Henry.
they do it. Yeah.
Like
What
Henry.
now?
I said like Henry.
Yeah. That's why they do it. Something dark and deep is going inside
And,
them at home.
and that's what and Corey Cunningham said that in Halloween Ends because when he confronted his bully, which did make sense. He's a band geek. Come on. Well, I guess anybody can be bullies, even if you're a band geek. But anyway, he said, yeah, your dad doesn't love you, and that's why you're doing this because of he abused you, and so you give it to me, and so or something like that. But that's pretty much it. A lot of bullies. I had a bully in elementary school too. My cousin kind of confronted him, and he stopped bullying me because my cousin's bigger, and he was tougher, and he was like in a different age. It didn't work out well for that bully, but yeah, but I do want to mention also. So I think the one kid that they hired, they hired him and they hired a grown up just because they're able to stick their fist in their mouth. That's the
Yeah.
only sole purpose of that character. Um, but that leads me to another thing. Some of the people that we have that shows up in this movie. So, uh, All right, Harry Waters Jr. is the guy that sticks his finger in his mouth. Stuart Pankin, who plays Jerry or Gary, um, he was like that guy. He's one of those guys that you've seen and stuff. He was in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Yeah.
He's in Congo, Fatal Attraction, Arachnophobia. That guy. He was a guy that I didn't realize it was in this movie, man. And he's another guy I kind of like seeing. I was like, hey, that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing him. He only had like one scene at the diner, right? Or the bar.
Yeah, he only had that one scene. The other friend that was the pyro guy, he had more scenes. He was all over the place.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe this was around the time they did Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. Maybe I felt like a lot of these comedians just showed up to help Rick and Tom, like just kind of having fun, and it's kind of what it felt like. Let's have fun,
Yeah.
not really take this movie serious. And I felt like they had the worst director to direct this. I like Steve Miner. He directed 2 of Friday 13th films. He directed H2O, but he's not known for comedy. I mean,
No.
I don't think you should get a horror guy for comedy. It's just,
Yeah. You can tell because this goes to a very dark place.
And that was actually a good scene when Tom Arnold became psycho.
Yeah. But I do want to mention Don Knotts. So
Yeah.
I thought this could have been his last film, but actually Pleasantville was his last film. Which he had a quick little cameo as a TV repairman in Pleasantville, which I love. Pleasantville. It's like one of my favorite films from the 90s. Which I would love for us to do this on the podcast. Actually, Pleasantville would be great. Maybe next. I'd find out if it's streaming anywhere. But Don Knotts, man, it was really good seeing him, and he's such a great character actor, great comedic actor. And they made a Mayberry joke in here, and I kind of giggled because I was like, "Hey, Don Knotts is in here,"
Yeah.
and so he's known as Barney Fife, the lovable deputy or whatever, and so, man, it did my heart good to see him. It did my heart good to see Curtis Armstrong, Booger. That guy, every time I see him in something, I'm like, hey, he popped up in Supernatural, I believe.
Yes.
And so every time I see him, I'm like, Booger. He's gonna always be Booger. I don't care what he's in. It's his fault. He's gonna be Booger for the rest of his life.
Well, I mean, I don't think at a certain point, I think they embrace that. They might not embrace it at the time. It's big, but after so many years, they're still known for something. I think you have to embrace that you're still known. But I actually forgot. Yeah, he is from Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I was like, I know this guy from somewhere, but I was like, what is it? But now you mentioned the name Booger. I was like, oh yeah, that's Revenge of the Nerds, and he did show up in Supernatural. I remember one episode at least he showed up. So it was good. Carol Kane, it was so good to see her because I just go to Addams Family all the time when I see her. But playing Tom Arnold's wife, they have 6 kids, and only one kid is of importance.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you could have wrote something for these kids other than being rowdy.
Yeah, Carol Kane, she's another actress that I seen her in the on something Kimberly Schmidt or whatever on Netflix.
Yeah.
Just when I seen her pop up in there, I was like, she steals every scene she's in, and people don't. So those actors and actresses that are comedic actors and actresses that's from the '80s, like her, and Rick Moranis, and the Gilda Radners, and I can't think of her name. I'm blanking on it. Not Carol Kane. What's Carol Kane? But what's the one that was in? It was in a lot of the Mel Brooks stuff. The one that she passed away from cancer. You know what I'm talking about? She was in History of the World. She was in Blazing Saddles. She's the one that says it's true. That one. You know what I'm talking about?
It's a
I
blank.
think she's also in Clue. She's in Clue.
She look like Susan Sarandon.
Sort of. Yeah. Her.
Okay, I know you're talking about.
She's comedic, just like her. I forget Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn. That's the name. She is like those people, man. When they pop up and stuff, they steal the scene. They steal the show.
Yeah.
Like, and she acted circles around Tom Arnold. Like when she pops up in the scene, like I want more of her than I do
Yeah, I
Tom.
mean, it's with all due respect, it's not hard to act circles around Tom Arnold. With all due respect, but I just think this movie would have been better if they would have cast someone else in the bully role. Hey, man, give it to Don Knotts. I mean, that would have been fun seeing Don Knotts be a bully. I mean, or the booger guy. Just Tom Arnold. Every time he's on screen, it's just like, you're not doing it for me.
And he's so over, like you say, he's so over the top. Like I would have loved, who would have been perfect as the bully? Why did I just blank on his name? I'm looking at him like in my brain. From Home Alone. Not Marv. No, Al. Harry, not Marv. Which one's the tall one?
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern. He would have been perfect as a bully character.
I would have rather seen Daniel. I love Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
So I would have rather seen him. Was John Candy still living at this point?
I think John died in 90. John Candy died in, I think his last movie was Wagons East. He died in 94. So yeah, he has passed away at this point.
So they had the perfect chemistry, connection, comedy timing. I mean, him and Rick just worked so well together. So it would have been perfect for them too.
Candy would have been perfect, and he would have been lovable as a bully. That's the thing. Tom Arnold wasn't really lovable. Like, even if a bully, you want him to be lovable. Like he doesn't realize that he's being a bully. He's like he thinks this is just friendship and their friendship. Like I could no, they're not same age, but if they was to remade it a little bit later, Chris Farley would have been perfect as that role.
Oh yeah.
If he had lived, John Belushi would have been absolutely perfect. Jim Belushi would have been absolutely perfect in that role. Like I would rather see them in that role.
I think the problem with the movie, bad director, and they should have cast someone else as the bully. I think it would have been a much better film. But that being said, it was still good to see Rick Moranis and company.
Yeah. Or the guy that played Newman from Seinfeld.
Oh,
he would have been perfect. Like I could see him. You want somebody to kind of you feel like would be maybe don't feel like a bully, but he's that guy that you just love to hate. But like I don't know. Yeah, I agree that they shouldn't have cast Tom Arnold. I think that is bad casting. Maybe I don't know if Tom was hot at that point. I don't know, or he was cheap. He was cheap, or they owed him one for something. I don't know, or could have been Roseanne said, "Hey, you're gonna take time if you want me to do this project. Give Tom this project."
I think this was 2 years after True Lies, so he was still rolling. He's still had stuff going on, but he's never been a lead in anything that I've ever seen that's been good.
Oh, you know who would have been perfect as the bully? Honestly, and I know it would have seemed weird, but I would have loved it. Sinbad. Sinbad would have been excellent.
Yeah, to me anyway, he kind of played the bully part in Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
And he was good. I loved him.
And then at the end, you still love him still. You don't hate him. You don't hate him as a character. So
yeah. So I agree. Yeah. I agree. He would have been better.
But I would think Tom Arnold rather, he steals a moon rock and gets sent to juvie, and he's like a depleted man until Rick Moranis' character David comes back into town. Now Rick Moranis' son in Big Bully was actually the kid years later would go on to be in Not Another Teen Movie. He's the one that was the Judd type of character.
Yeah.
I think it's the same kid. Um, but um, but yeah, this movie I can't. I like that's when I was watching this movie. I was thinking, oh, I would beat the hell out of Tom Arnold. I just every time I seen him, I was like, oh, he's just annoying. And that's what Tom Arnold was annoying in this movie.
I agree. I do. I agree.
Annoying.
I thought the only thing that he did good at, and this was the best direction, is when it kind of came like a horror film in the woodshop class. I thought that was really well done. And I thought that was his best part, best scene in the whole movie. Because he actually looked like a killer, looked like somebody that was mad. Went psycho. So I just feel like it was bad direction, bad miscasting. But I thought with the whole cast, man, you got a really good comedic cast here. This should be gold, and it's not, and it hurts because you hate to see Rick Moranis because at this point, so we didn't know that his time was going to be limited in Hollywood due to his wife's illness. You just hate to see someone like that that's so good waste his time on a mediocre film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. We can go ahead because this movie isn't really. Rick Moranis is the best part of the film.
Yeah.
And
I will say one thing. The I think her name was Victoria. That love interest just didn't make sense.
No,
they didn't develop it well. So I thought that was wasted potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can go ahead and give scores a kiss.
Well, real quick, I want to mention one more person that I loved absolutely in the movie. Jeffrey Tambor, who played Art, the next door neighbor.
Yes.
He stole every single time he came on the screen. He stole it, and he was utterly more interesting than other than Rick Moranis. Their interaction was so much more interesting. I wish the movie had been about just him maybe thinking his neighbor might be a serial killer. That would have been great. That'd been a totally good movie with Rick Moranis and that guy.
Yeah,
and that was because
you switch the roles. Great. You switch the roles where that guy's the bully and Tom Arnold's the neighbor, which Tom Arnold still wouldn't pull it off because he's just not that good of an actor. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for saying that though, because I actually do like him. It's just he's not good in the best thing I've ever seen in is True Lies.
True Lies, yeah, but he was good in it because Arnold was great in it, and because Jamie Lee was great in it. Mikhail's Navy was a dud. Exit Wounds.
Was he in that?
With DMX, and freaking John, whatever the other guy's name is.
I totally forgot about the movie.
Let's see. He's in.
It does, yeah. I remember. I actually do remember him making fun of Seagal though, on some interview. I think it was Howard Stern. Everybody makes fun of Seagal though, the way he runs.
Yeah, we can go ahead and go to the end of it, bro. I would give this is my stars for it, or my marks for this movie. I'm going to give it 2 markouts out of 5. I love Rick Moranis, and I love seeing Don Knotts, and I love seeing pretty much everyone in the movie to some extent. I think the directing was terrible, and I think Tom Arnold was terrible, but Rick Moranis shined, and other people in it had great elements. Would have been a great movie, but it's not Rick's best. Like other stuff Rick has done is good, but it's not him. But that's the thing. I want to say that it's not Rick Moranis that makes this movie bad. It's Tom Arnold and the directing. I agree with you, so I give it 2.
Yeah, I put more of more of it on the director, Steve Miner. He had no business directing a comedy, in my opinion. I'm gonna give it 2.5 because I loved everything Rick did. I love Carol Kane in the movie. I love Jeffrey in the movie. So I thought it's a bad movie, but it was an okay time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There were some things I really liked. There was some things like was very cringeworthy, and especially with Tom Arnold. I'm sorry, Tom. I liked you in True Lies though, but yeah, 2.5 for me.
All right. Well, I do have what we're gonna watch next week.
He's got it.
I got it. I mentioned it, and I looked it up, and it's on Hulu. So there you go. Pleasantville.
Pleasantville.
We're gonna do Pleasantville.
We're gonna revisit Tom Knotts again, and Paul Walker.
And Paul Walker. We get some Paul Walker. We get some Tom Knotts. Don Knotts rather. We get some
Reese Witherspoon, right?
Reese Witherspoon. Toby Maguire.
Toby. We're getting Toby.
We get Toby. And then we also get Jeff Daniels. Not Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff.
Jeff's in it. So we get some. Hey, it's gonna be a good one. Pleasantville is like if I had to do my top movies of all time, Pleasantville is in there. It's totally in there.
Wasn't Stay Tuned similar to this?
Yeah, Stay Tuned. Yeah, Stay Tuned was sort of similar. Although I love it, has a soft spot in my heart too. Stay Tuned. I love. Why am I blanking on his name now? Jeez, John
Ritter.
John Ritter. Yeah, I love John Ritter, and I love. They had a wrestling scene in it, so anything that had wrestling in it was.
Which there was a wrestling scene in this movie too. Tom Arnold's family was watching Raw, I believe.
Oh wow! I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it was Diesel, Kevin Nash.
I think I did see him. All right, yeah. I thought I was hallucinating for some reason, but yeah, no. So next week, Pleasantville. In the meantime, what do we want them to do, Brandon?
We want you to like, share, subscribe, get this out here. Help us out a little bit. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, so help us out. Hope you're enjoying it too. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please
comment. Did you have bullies? If you're watching this on YouTube, comment on our YouTube channel. Comment on our Facebook channel. Let us know. Follow us on our social medias. We're both on TikTok. Brandon has more hilarious stuff than I do. I'm just there. But then Instagram and all. Well, I'm there. Brandon, just look us up. But in the meantime, and in between time, if you're being bullied, don't worry about it, man. Just get past it. Keep going in life. One of these days, that bully may come to you needing help because, just how life goes sometimes. Or in Brandon's case, the bully will go to jail for a very long time. But
I haven't seen him since that day. I was in 4th grade. I think he was in 7th. Yeah, I haven't heard from him since. I'm assuming he's out by now, but it was on the news and everything. He killed his father with a shotgun.
Oh wow!
He drove the truck to Bowling Green and finally turned himself in. But yeah, I hadn't seen Billy since then. So,
well, all right, yes. Don't look for him. All right, so how many Billys I know? No.
No, I really felt bad though when I heard all of it, what had happened. Like his dad was abusive to him, so I really felt bad for him.
Yeah,
it made sense why he bullied me so much.
Dad
was doing to him.
What we want to say here at the Mark Out Movie Podcast is be better people, love one another, and let's not hurt one another. Yeah, and celebrate each other. But in the meantime and in between time, Aaron Whitlow,
Brandon Spivey.
We thank you for marking out with us here on the Mark Out Movie Podcast.